Welcome to yet another episode of TV Africa News. This is Africa Today. My name is Najima Loima, but first are the headlines. Government sends Uganda Airlines plane SFC Commando to physically pick up stranded citizens from Sudan. DPP now goes for OPM officials as net widens. Vipers keep pace with leaders after Arua Hill win. Welcome once again. Now the news in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has directed the External Security Organization boss Joseph Ochwet to pick up one of the Uganda Airlines planes and evacuate Ugandan citizens still stranded in Sudan. We have more.
According to a communication from the government spokesperson, Ofono Pondo, the plane will fly from Entebbe Airport and land at Bahida Airport in northern Ethiopia, which will then be the exit route from Khartoum, which still has its airspace closed. Ochwet will be supported by President Museveni's Elite Force, commanded by Special Forces Command, Commando Unit under Colonel Asaf Nyakikuru Mweteise. At least 300 Ugandan nationals, including diplomats, business people, students, and Hajj pilgrims that were en route to Saudi Arabia when the violence broke out last week, are still stranded in Sudan. On Sunday, Uganda's envoy to Khartoum, Ambassador Rashid Semudu, said the embassy hired 6 long-haul buses to transport the evacuees across the Ethiopian border from where they will fly to Entebbe. He said the travelers who were stuck at Sudan's main airport in the capital have since been transferred to safe places until they can be evacuated. Uganda's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, John Mulimba, said the government is working with various groups, including the International Organization for Migration, to provide all needed support to their citizens, including assistance for possible evacuations.
The Director of Public Prosecutions has cast her net wider in the ongoing investigations and subsequent prosecutions over the Karamoja iron sheet scandal to include officials at the office of the Prime Minister. While at the opening ceremony of this year's National Symposium of Prosecutors at Imperial Royal Hotel in Kampala, the DPP, Jane Francis Abodo, told journalists that they are going to move even to the office of the Prime Minister to investigate the officials there. A dozen of cabinet ministers and 16 lawmakers were implicated in a scandal in which 10,000 iron sheets earmarked for distribution to vulnerable communities in Karamoja sub-region were misappropriated. The iron sheets were procured using a part of the 39.9 billion supplementary budget meant for disarmament and community empowerment program for the reformed youth warriors known as Karachinas and other vulnerable groups like the elderly and women in Karamoja sub-region. 4 people, including Mary Goreti Chitutu, Amos Lugolobi and Agnes Nandutu, as well as Chitutu's brother Michael Naboya Wanutu, have been arraigned in court over the Karamoja iron sheets. A plane carrying the first batch of Kenyan evacuees from Sudan landed at the airport in Nairobi on Monday night. The dozens of evacuees disembarked from a Kenya Air Force plane and were received by Defense Secretary Aden Duale.
As fighting continues in Sudan, a stream of European, Middle East, African, and Asian military aircraft flew into Khartoum all day Sunday and Monday to extract foreign nationals who are moving past combatants at the city's tense front lines. A flight carrying 39 evacuees from Chaos-torn Sudan lands in Nairobi as part of evacuation efforts. According to Kenya's Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Defense Aden Daule, the first successful evacuation flight that has delivered 39 evacuees, of which 19 are Kenyans, 19 of Somalian nationality, and 1 evacuee is from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia laid the first reported successful evacuations on Saturday. A boat from Sudan carrying nearly 200 people from 14 countries reached the Saudi coastal city of Jeddah late on Monday, the Saudi Foreign Ministry said.
Let's take a quick break. We shall be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The President of the Ivory Coast Republic, Alassane Ouattara, points out the resilience of the Ivorian economy in the face of a crisis due to the difficult international situation and announces brighter economic prospects. In his third State of the Nation address to the members of parliament and senators at the Sofitel Abidjan Hotel, Ivoire, on Tuesday, April 25, 2023, the head of state has stressed that in the face of global inflation, the Ivorian government has taken measures to maintain that upward trend. Also faced with the rise in the price of wheat because of the Russian-Ukraine war, Cote d'Ivoire has supported millers to the tune of 62 billion CFA francs, including 2 billion to strengthen the sector. For fuel, 725 billion CFA francs in state subsidies have been granted to mitigate the impact of international price increases on the cost of transport and goods. This corresponds to 2% of the Ivorian gross domestic product. In addition, the government has adopted a vast program for the agriculture, fisheries and animal resources sectors to ensure food security in the country. Moving on, the UN Human Rights Office is calling for a full and independent investigation into the latest horrific killing of civilians in Burkina Faso and for those responsible to be held accountable.
At the bi-weekly news briefing yesterday in Geneva, Ravina Ramdanasi, spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, said that available information suggests that at least 150 civilians may have been killed and many others injured. Ravina added that the armed men then proceeded to loot homes, shops and mosques with sources in the nearby town of Oigoya reporting gunshots at 7 a.m. On 20th April, 3 hours after they had seen men in military fatigues on vehicles and motorcycles heading towards Kama, the public prosecutor in the town of Oigoya announced on 23rd April that 60 people were killed and an investigation into the attack was underway. This investigation, the UNHCR urged, must be prompt, thorough, independent and impartial, and must result in credible prosecutions if such gross violations are to end. Credible accounts indicate the attackers accused the village residents of sheltering members of the Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslim group, an Islamic State group affiliate, and other non-state armed groups.
Away from that, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa said on Tuesday that the ruling ANC has called for the country, which has been criticized since the start of the war in Ukraine for its closeness to Moscow, to leave the International Criminal Court. The Hague-based ICC issued an arrest warrant in March for Russian President Vladimir Putin for the war crime of deporting Ukrainian children. Pretoria is due to host a summit of the BRICS, a group of countries including South Africa, Brazil, China, India and Russia, in August. As a member of the ICC, the country is theoretically supposed to arrest the Russian president if he enters its territory. Ramaphosa said at a press conference following a visit by Finnish President Sauli Niinisto that the ruling party has decided that it is prudent for South Africa to withdraw from the ICC. He added that whether South Africa will stop Putin is under consideration. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula said earlier at a press conference that Putin can go to their country at any time, adding that the ICC does not serve the interests of all but those of a few. Ramaphosa said the ANC's decision to withdraw from the ICC was made largely because of the perceived unfair treatment of some countries by the court. Let's once again take a quick break. We shall be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, the International Monetary Fund on Monday approved the first review of Tanzania's 3-year extended credit facility, allowing immediate disbursement of about $153 million in budgetary support.
The international financial lender said that Tanzania's economic reform program was progressing well in a challenging global economic environment, but authorities must work to boost domestic revenues while stepping up structural reforms to streamline bureaucracy and combat corruption. According to IMF Deputy Managing Director Antoinette Sally, all quantitative performance criteria and indicative targets for December 2022 were made, and 2 of 3 structural benchmarks for December 2022 were completed on time. She added that efforts to enhance domestic revenue mobilization and improve spending efficiency would help Tanzania finance priority investment and social spending while safeguarding debt sustainability. The IMF said that the decision brings total disbursements to the $1.4 billion loan arrangement approved for Tanzania last year to about $305 million. Tanzania's broad-based growth is believed to be turning the country into one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, while a planned liquefied natural gas project could become its biggest ever industry investment.
In our health news today, more than 50 fishermen in the West African state of Guinea have been hospitalized with unknown skin ailment a day after the authorities launched a probe into the incident, according to the government spokesman. According to a statement released on Thursday by the government spokesman Ousmane Gawoul Diallo, the government has set up an interministerial crisis management committee made up of representatives of the ministries of the Environment, Fisheries, Health, Transport and Mining, as well as the Maritime Prefecture, after facing the strange phenomenon. He said that a committee of scientists had taken samples of seawater in the suspect areas, and these were being analyzed in laboratories in Guinea and abroad. He added that while waiting for the results, the government urged the fishermen to be cautious and avoiding fishing areas with the compact ochre-colored sheet of water. Analysis carried out on fishery products brought in by the affected fishermen indicate they are safe to consume, according to the statement. Senegal's health ministry later ruled out the risk of contagious and reported that all cases were progressing favorably and without complication. It said it did not know the cause of the disease. And finally, with the sports news today, Abubakar Lawal scored inside the first minute at Barifa Stadium, Arua, to hand Vipers a hard-fought 1-0 win over hosts Alua Hill on Tuesday. Ahumuza with more.
The Nigerian import scored with a first attempt on target, with goalkeeper Roger Zomendwa culpable for letting ball slip under his body easily. He was denied a second before the break by the assistant referee's flag, although replay showed he was onside as he scored. In the second half, the host piled pressure, forcing decent saves from man of the match Fabian Mutombora and a goal line clearance from the defense. The win ensures the champions keeps pace, with leaders at them now on 39 points from 20 games, 2 and 4 behind second and first KCC and Soccer Club Villa, who have played more games. At Kavumba, Express through Alan Kayua's second half penalty salvaged a draw as he cancelled out Ibrahim Kasinde at a goal, while Fred Amakuwina handed Maroons vital 3 points over visiting UPDF at Luzira.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned.